Hi everybody, thank you for tuning in to our first episode of Tour TV. My name is Joe Conroy, I'm president of American Classic Tours, and today I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite destinations. Here it is. Today we're going to be highlighting the Canadian Rockies. This trip will be departing next year in 2019, June 15th through the 24th. It's a 10-day, 9-night trip. The Canadian Rockies offers the most pristine beauty of anywhere in North America because of its unspoiled nature of mountain peaks and glacial lakes and green forests. The Canadian Rockies comprise the Canadian segment of the North American Rocky Mountains. Right here are the Rocky Mountains of the United States, and up here in this region here are the Canadian Rockies. And it's this range that is protected by national and provincial parks that make it a World Heritage Site. The Canadian Rockies are quite different in appearance and geology than the American Rockies to the south. The Canadian Rockies are overall more jagged than the American Rockies because the Canadian Rockies are more heavily glaciated and are cooler and wetter, giving them moisture soil, bigger rivers, and more glaciers. So, are you ready to join us on our trip to Canada and the Canadian Rockies? Well, how does it begin? Where does it begin? At your front door. We offer a free home pickup for anyone who joins us on our Canadian Rockies trip and for all of our trips for that matter. And then you'll be taken to the airport where you'll be greeted at curbside by one of our American Classic employees. You'll be led inside to our private group check-in. And then all you have to do is just sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. We'll be arriving at our destination city of Calgary in the province of Alberta in Canada. The economy of Calgary includes energy and technology, financial services, manufacturing, aerospace, and tourism. And it's also the home of the world-famous Calgary Stampede. Calgary has a real Western kind of cowboy flair to it. We'll be pulling up to the beautiful Fairmont Palliser Hotel of Calgary. This will be our lodging for the evening. Elegance and tradition is honored here, and after a day of travel, it'll be a welcome sight to enter this beautifully appointed lobby with some free time to relax and refresh in your room before we come on down for our welcome dinner to begin our trip. On the following day, we'll board our deluxe motor coach. As we head north, look to the northern horizon, you'll start to see the peaks of the Canadian Rockies start to appear. We'll be arriving in the community of Banff, a resort town and one of Canada's most popular tourist destinations. It was here in 1883 that 3 Canadian Pacific Railway workers stumbled upon a series of natural hot springs on the side of Sulphur Mountain. Well, today Banff is located completely within the Banff National Park, and we will journey into the Banff National Park to see some of the unique sites like the Hoodoo Rock Formations, Surprise Corner, and Tunnel Mountain Drive. While we're in Banff, we'll have a 2-night stay at the Ptarmigan Inn. One of the highlights of our visit in Banff will be to the Sulphur Mountain Gondola Ride. We'll be taking this gondola to the top of the Sulphur Mountain at 7,500 feet above sea level. And when you're at the top, you look down to see the beautiful Bow River Scenic Valley below. At the top, at the summit, they have built a brand new state-of-the-art observation deck. And it's from here that you can see the peaks of 6 different mountain ranges from this one summit location. In the Banff area, we'll also visit Johnston Canyon, Moraine Lake, and the Valley of the 10 Peaks that surround it, Athabasca Falls, Peyto Lake, and Lake Louise. No trip to the Canadian Rockies would be complete without a visit to famous Lake Louise. And the image you're looking at right now, you'll see in the very center of our image here, I have my mouse going around a little white circle here. That's Lake Louise in the winter time. And behind it is the Victoria Glacier up here. And it's this Victoria Glacier that when it melts in the summertime, feeds the water into this alpine lake that you see here. But I think this image is just amazing when you see how small the glacial lake is and yet how steep and rugged and gigantic the mountains are all around it. Well, while we're here at Lake Louise, we're going to be going to the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise for a lunch. And it's in the dining room that we're going to look out over the placid waters of Lake Louise and the Victoria Glacier beyond. A very unique experience of our trip to the Canadian Rockies is the Columbia Icefields, or the Glacier Icefields. It's here, folks, that you're going to be able to set foot on top of one of the world's glaciers. And to get there, we're going to take the Ice Explorer. It's like a snow coach that'll take us right to and onto the glacier. Our local guide, as we're going to have a local guide throughout this entire trip, particularly here, they're going to tell us about the formation of glaciers. And really, a glacier is a river of ice, as you can see here. Very dense ice that over geologic time, as it advances, it pulverizes rock. And then in the summertime, as it melts, it retreats. And that ice then, mixed with the pulverized rock, will then enter into and create these glacial lakes. So you can see here at the bottom of this slide here, you have the edge of the glacier. And as these minerals or sediments, this pulverized rock is suspended in the waters of the glacial lakes. And when sunlight reflects off of it, it creates an almost fluorescent aquamarine color that is so characteristic of glacial lakes. After our visit to the Columbia Icefields, we're going to head north to Jasper, an alpine town north of Banff and located within the Athabasca River Valley. It was back here in 1813 that Jasper was founded as a fur trading post with the Northwest Company and the Hudson Bay Company. Today, Jasper is a commercial center of Jasper National Park, and we'll be staying 2 nights at the Mount Robeson Inn there in Jasper. One of my favorite places to visit in the Canadian Rockies is Maligne Lake. We're going to board a boat and have a boat cruise of Maligne Lake, and it's here that you're going to get out at this observation deck to take in what is the most photographed spot in all of the Canadian Rockies, Maligne Lake. The next morning, it's all aboard the Rocky Mountaineer train for our 2-day train journey across the mountains. We're going to board the Rocky Mountaineer train in Jasper and then enjoy the 2-day train ride through the beautiful Canadian Rockies. As you can see here on the map, our journey began in Calgary as we flew into Calgary. Then you see the dotted line here going through Banff and Lake Louise, the Columbia Icefield to Jasper. That was all our motor coach route. But now that we're in Jasper and boarding the train, we'll be taking the Rocky Mountaineer on a 2-day train ride. The first leg, or the first day of the train ride, will go from Jasper here along this route down to Camp Loops. Once we arrive in Camp Loops in the evening, we'll disembark the train, stay in a hotel, and then the following morning we'll board the same train for the second leg, or the second day of our train ride, from Camp Loops and the interior all the way across the coastal range to the Pacific coast and Vancouver. On the Rocky Mountaineer, we're going to enjoy the Gold Leaf service. The major highlight of Gold Leaf service is the bi-level glass dome luxury coach for panoramic viewing. Get a load of this. As you're in this car, this coach, you'll see that the car is completely glass domed. You look up to the top, to the ceiling, to the sides, to the front and back. And when you're in a train going through the Canadian Rockies, what is natural to do? It's you want to look up to the top of the mountains, to the peaks, and you can do that right here in the domed cars. It makes all the difference. Notice you also have a coach attendant who will be with you for the entire 2-day trip, providing information about the flora and fauna of this region, as well as interesting information about the geology of the Canadian Rockies. As you look to the side of the train, you'll see rushing rivers, close up to the forest lands, and of course, with all the domed windows, great opportunities to take pictures of the landscape as well as wildlife along the way. Look, in the back of the train, there's even windows there. Also available is the exclusive outdoor viewing platform, available to all of our folks that are in the dome coaches. And this is, you can get a breath of fresh air and a beautiful view from the viewing platforms. As I mentioned to you, you're going to have a coach attendant. Your coach attendant will provide morning coffee and tea and scones and afternoon wine and cheese. It's all included in your experience, folks, and it's brought right to where you're seated in the dome car. You'll also be enjoying fine dining, gourmet dining in the dining car there at the Gold Leaf service, all the while enjoying beautiful scenery along the way. The food is delicious, the service is friendly, appetizers, entrees, and most naturally, desserts as well. Well, as we're enjoying all these special features of the Gold Leaf service, we're doing it amidst the remoteness of the Canadian Rockies. Imagine being in the middle of this wilderness and being able to enjoy all these beautiful scenes as we travel along the way. And taking in wildlife, abundant wildlife, bighorn sheep, elk, bear, and you never know, maybe you'll see a Canadian Mountie or two. As we travel along the way, though, it's Mother Nature that provides the show outside of the windows of our dome coach, with, of course, the jagged peaks of the Canadian Rockies, the raging rivers that we travel right next to, right along, as well as the placid lakes along our way. Well, we're going to cross the coastal range and arrive at the Pacific coast at the beautiful city of Vancouver. This is in British Columbia. Vancouver is a city that is surrounded by nature, the ocean on one side and the mountains on the other. The Port of Vancouver is the third largest port by tonnage in all of the Americas. Forestry and tourism are the largest industries, and believe it or not, major film production studios in Vancouver have earned it the nickname, the Hollywood of the North. Their Chinatown is the second oldest in North America after San Francisco, and the original settlement of Vancouver was called Gastown. Well, today, the Gastown neighborhood is an exciting place that's known for its famous whistling steam clock that you see here, and a mix of art galleries and shops and trendy restaurants, cocktail lounges, all in renovated Victorian buildings. This would be an opportunity as well to learn about the native cultures that inhabited the coastal region of the Pacific Northwest and learn about their totem poles. The following day, we're going to be taking a ferry boat ride from Vancouver over to Victoria for the day. Victoria is a beautiful city. It is the provincial capital of British Columbia, and it is named for Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom and at that time, British North America. The city's British colonial past shows itself in its Victorian architecture, including the Empress Hotel, which was opened in 1908. Now, keep in mind that later in the day, you're going to be able to enjoy some free time to explore downtown Victoria. And I don't know, maybe you want to go into the Empress Hotel to enjoy a traditional British afternoon tea. Our major highlight, though, of our trip to Victoria will be beautiful Bouchard Gardens, world famous. The Bouchard Gardens are located in an old limestone quarry, 55 acres. 900 bedding plant varieties, 26 greenhouses, and beautiful fountains. Our trip at Bouchard Gardens will conclude with a ferry back to the mainland to Vancouver, and the following day, our final day of our trip, we'll fly from Vancouver back to Chicago. So, we would like to invite you to join us on our trip to the Canadian Rockies, and we'd like to share with you what is the American Classic difference. In other words, what's included in your tour. Well, first of all, as I mentioned, you'll have a free home pickup and return at your front door, private group airline check-in, round-trip airfare and 1 checked bag, deluxe motor coach transportation, 9 nights deluxe hotel accommodations, 19 meals, 19 breakfasts, 5 lunches, and 5 dinners. You'll also receive luggage handling throughout the tour, all attractions, sightseeing tours, admission charges, and entertainment. All gratuities or tips, including the tour director, motor coach operator, or the driver, maitre d's, waiters, waitresses, local guides, and your train coach attendants as well. You'll have services of a professional American Classic Tour director who will be with you from the very beginning of the trip to the very end, and of course, travel guards, trip insurance included in your package. Well, if you would like to join us on this trip, keep in mind that there's limited space that's available on this particular trip. We anticipate this trip to sell out very quickly. It always does. And we encourage you to call us at 847-548-3333 to make your reservation before space runs out. The price of the tour, double occupancy, all-inclusive, is $7,398. And keep in mind that on this particular trip, there's limited single occupancy available. An additional exclusive offer to you since you tuned in to American Classic Tour TV and since you made it to the end of this episode, we're offering you $150 off of your tour price when you sign up using the promo code Canadian18. That's right, use the promo code Canadian18, and this may not be used in conjunction with any other promotions for this particular trip. So, we encourage you to reserve your seat today by calling 847-548-3333. We invite you to join us on this trip of a lifetime to the beautiful Canadian Rockies. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for our first episode of American Classic Tour TV, and stay tuned for the next episode. Have a good day.